Hello guys, and now we are in a new series of the Sicilian Scheveningen, and now we are going to see the Fischer-Sozin system with the bishop c4 move, and let's see the variation. It's e4, c5, knight f3, e6, d4, cd4, knight takes d4, and knight f6. And now knight c3, d6, and now this is the thematic move, that is the bishop c4. This is the Fischer system. He used to play this way against the Najdorf. And this bishop development to c4 was obvious similarities to the Fischer-Sozin attack of the Najdorf system, despite the fact that the American mainly played this plan against the Najdorf. Because the plan is basically the same, pushing the f4, f5 to put pressure on e6. It is not necessary to come up with a new name for this. This is the same thing like in the Najdorf. And now bishop e7. Here a6 brings to the proper Najdorf variation. Meanwhile, knight c6 would offer some transposition of the Sozin variation of the classical Sicilian. Here, here the bishop retreats immediately to bishop b3 to avoid knight takes e4 tricks and the pawn fork. So now after bishop b3, while this is the most important move, there are alternatives to the immediate bishop retreat that are worth seeing. Here the sharp g4, g4, and then h6, h6 and bishop e3. Now a6 and bishop to b3, b5. This is an extremely sharp variation, and here and then in the game after bishop b3, now castles. Black should take note that knight bd7 is not to be played. His kingside pawns are now put to the sword, starting with a typical sacrifice. As if at all knight bd7, then there is the typical sacrifice of bishop takes e6, and after f takes e6, knight takes e6, queen a5, and there is knight takes g7, king f7, and knight to f5. It's a huge advantage for white. So knight bd7 should not be played because it blocks the light squared bishop of black. So before knight bd7, castle should be played, and then now bishop e3 and knight to a6. Here we see an important difference between the Scheveningen and the Najdorf systems. The knight comes to c5, but it doesn't need to come. The route is changed. So in the Najdorf, the a6 square is occupied by the pawn, but here in Scheveningen the a6 is not occupied. So the knight can come to a6 and then to c5. Now f4, knight c5, queen f3. This is an interesting position. White has developed all his minor pieces, but not yet committed his king. He can still therefore castle on either side, and also he can also keep the king in center. like in the theory, black also has a choice. Now he is to do with how he develops his queen side. Now a5. This possibility has independent significance. The plan is to simply throw the a pawn forward as hard as it will go and hope to break up white's queen side structure. Uh, the equally logical move a6 leads the game more or less back to the knight of type trajectory. Here and long castle. It is critical that white can't stop the a pawn before it even gets started. Here, if at all white plays a4, then e5, fe5, de5, then knight to f5, and then bishop takes f5, e takes f5, and e4 here, e4 and queen to e2, and knight takes b3, cb3. Here black basically has an extra pawn because there is no prospect of white managing to solve the issue of his doubled pawns in the short or medium term. Here sometimes fi is tried, and with the continuation like after a4 and bishop c4 and a3, fe6, fe6, and knight to f5 and ab2, rook b1. Here still black has the advantage. And so the fi is not a good move. So after long castles, now a4, bishop c4, a3 and b3. Now sometimes b3. Okay, after b3 there is knight f takes e4, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, queen takes e4 and d5 here, and after bishop takes d5, it was better to put queen f3 and e takes d5. Black has at least equalized. To compensate for his isolated pawn, he has the bishop pair. Perhaps even more important though is the fact that white's queenside castle position is not secure. The holes created by the battering ram on the A file, as well as the continuing presence of the pawn itself, lead to a significant number of mate motives. So here black is obviously in a advantageous position. So guys, this is how Fischer Sozin attack can be played. So we will be looking at model games. For the white side 2 games and for the black 2 games. So I'll be meeting you in the next video. Thank you all.